guys, join the tempo to watching The Acolyte, Season 1, Episode 6, Teach/Corrupt. I am very stressed with how the last one ended. I'm wondering how long Sol's gonna take to figure out that it's May. I would be like, oh, he's already figured out that it's May, but that would mean that he just casually left Osha unconscious on the planet, which I don't think he would do. So I'm stressed about that, and I'm stressed about Osha being with Master Dude, whose name I did not pick up by brain fog. Have we even learned his name? Like, was the name he was using his real name? I don't know. Very excited, but also very, very stressed. Let's go. Okay, so she's been unconscious for a while. Oh, what a nice cave you have. He tended to her wounds, though she's bleeding through that bandage. I feel like he's intentionally left her to wake up alone and get her bearings. I'm stressed. He's left her food, he's left her water. There's a tiny elephant bird. He's left weapons in her reach. Yep, we're not in Kansas anymore. What are these elephant creatures? Elephant birds? I don't think they can fly, so they're not birds.
Please. Jason, repeat.
Is May fucking with it, or is it just out of signal? A massacre. You know the truth, Basil.
It's a much larger threat than we anticipated.
Oh, but she's just outright gonna kill him. I thought she was going for the long con. Because she could have killed him by now, surely, but...
I'm going to reset the... take the wheel.
You think you're Osha? I'm so intrigued. Is she trying to play the long con here and get to the Jedi, or...? Yeah, you don't really ever get over a day like that. Which is exactly why she's able to fool him right now. And also why the Jedi thing about attachments is so ridiculous, because they form attachments to each other because they have souls. He's like, that one smells correct. Pip. Oh, Osha. He's toying with her. He knows you're there, Osha. He's making a show of vulnerability in front of you. Because he feels that confident.
How does it feel?
Can't be surprised. Everything is a play of power here.
Your anger betrays your thoughts.
Why bring me here?
He wants an acolyte.
You're the one with the weapon.
Yes, but we both know you could probably disarm her of it very easily. Has Sol figured it out yet?
You saved us, Osha. You saved me.
He's blinded by his emotions for her.
He corrupt. It's time for me to face the High Council. To tell them everything.
Everything from that night as well as today. This is so fascinating because there is a part of me that would almost think he was pulling like an Uber move on May by like treating her like Osha, being honest and emotional with her, telling her the truth. Like, I don't think he'd be doing it kind of deceitfully, if that makes sense. Obviously he would be deceiving her, but he would never have just left Osha behind if that was the case. So he does truly believe this is Osha. From May's point of view, she is just taking everything in, taking it slow, reading it. But also, I do wonder if he wasn't so grief-stricken, if he wasn't still so stuck in the trauma of what just happened, would he be able to tell more easily? Because there is, I mean, Osha, they were still in that clearing. The battle had barely left. The bodies of their friends were lying around them, and she was still like, what did he mean? What did you mean? What aren't you telling me? There is no world in which she would have just suddenly been like, all set. I'm going to say as little as possible so you don't suspect. I'm not, like, you know, she would still be asking him questions. The fact that she was doing it with the bodies of their fallen comrades around them, she would be doing it now because she needs to know, instead of this kind of quiet inquisitiveness.
On a review of the order.
Rancor has never been a friend of the Jedi,
but I worry his fear has convinced so many.
An external review wouldn't be... Yeah, they wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you have nothing to hide, but if you think someone's gonna fake information...
Apologies, Senator. I must go. But thank you for your update.
Like, falsify evidence on you, that's a problem, but if you have nothing to hide, just welcome a review. Yeah, sure.
What is it, Mog?
We received...
Prepare a rescue team to depart for the planet Kofar immediately.
How do you know where he is?
I sent him there.
Obviously, sir. Some of these Jedi aren't the brightest.
Why'd you bring me here?
Why do you
I
think?
want an acolyte.
Start swimming if you want to make it to the ship before sundown. Or you could wait for the tide to go out.
Offering her an escape route. He is good at these mind games. But she should just run for the ship. Even if she just fucks off and like does her own thing, she should run for the ship. Basil and Pip, what is your plan here? You are fearsome. Tell Soul.
Hey, okay.
Pip. That's not just best friend.
Set you to factory settings.
No. We had Pip back so briefly.
The Jedi teach there's only one way to access the Force. And if you don't do it
See,
their way...
If this man was just wanting to live a life where he did his everyday work and every now and then he used the Force to help him out a little bit, maybe help some other people, maybe, you know, didn't do anything to hurt anyone, just wanted to live his life also using the Force, I would be so in support of him, and I would be like, yeah, it's really wrong that the Jedi prosecute you just for existing and try and like force everyone to do it their way. That is wrong and narrow-minded thinking. But at the same time, this man quite clearly wants to use the Force to get as much power as possible and hurt other people, and that's where he loses me.
It fades powerful emotions. Anger, fear, loss.
I'm sure the good emotions can also inspire things.
You killed Yord.
A man who didn't hesitate to turn you in for a crime you didn't commit.
You killed Jackie.
I mean, admittedly, sir, the crime she didn't commit, they had her on video doing it, and he did not know she had an identical twin. I would probably arrest my best friend. I'd feel shit about it, but if I thought I had a video of them murdering somebody, I would talk to them about it. I might be like, is there any way this wasn't you? But, you know, you can't just be like, oh, it's my friend, let him off the hook.
Where did you think?
I'm not my sister. I'm not that easily corrupted.
You're curious, though, because you haven't left yet. I mean, I would want information from this man. But the fact that she didn't even try and go for the ship concerns me.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Where her head is at. I suppose she could be waiting for the tide to go out.
Do it.
Imagine she just lights up that lightsaber. Master kebab for dinner.
Attack the unarmed.
What you're feeling right now. This anger, this pain. This is who you
Osha,
are.
stay with who
The Jedi
you
saw it,
are.
and that's why they threw you away.
They didn't throw me away.
Then why aren't you
The
a
Jedi didn't know how to deal with people with emotions and
Why aren't
trauma
you a
because
Jedi,
they normally
sir?
kidnap babies, take babies.
Because I failed!
You didn't
I
fail.
understand.
They weren't equipped to help you. Neither is this
I
man.
lost everything.
My god, I can't remember. Lord?
Osha,
The very friendly man was the only one who spoke. Basil, right?
how could I not have sensed that villain's true intentions?
They were face to face with him, yeah. Oh, I was his best friend and I didn't notice it all that time.
When you really want something,
Like a
it
friend.
can cloud your mind. I had to lose
This is
a lot of
fascinating when you think of the
in order to
context
become a
here.
Jedi. Have you told me everything that happened on Brentalk?
You were very young.
But I'm not now. You can tell
I'm
me.
gonna hate it if he gives the truth to May. And then Osha's gonna hear it from someone like evil bitch.
Hello, is anybody there? Can you hear me?
Identify yourself.
My name is...
Okay. He was on to her. At what point?
May.
You know?
Master Soul, leave your transponder on.
Is he gonna break his personal boundaries for Osha? Try and find her? Attachments cannot be avoided even in the Jedi. And when nobody knows how to deal with their attachments, things go wrong. Maybe they'll collect the bodies.
Where'd you get that scar?
Yeah, he wants you to ask about this guy. He keeps showing it off. He can
How do you think I
empathize with you about it.
Your Jedi Master?
I mean, either his Jedi Master was a bad Jedi, like an evil Jedi, or he's not telling the whole side of the story, I would imagine.
Kurtosis. But you should learn to trust yourself.
She's curious. It's also like she's kind of getting a bit closer to her sister over all these years. By spending this time with him. Yord, that's his name, I knew it. Is it going to turn out she was his Jedi Master or something, and she did something bad, and
They were all killed by a lightsaber. What does that tell you?
a bad Jedi?
Powerful Jedi has fallen. You don't think Master Soul was responsible?
That is quite the accusation.
Do not try and pin this on Soul at any
Must have
point,
possessed
please.
the power to slay such as...
Do you?
To tip the scales.
No.
But if he did this, why would he send us a distress signal?
He didn't do this. Do not
It's time
pin
to
it.
get back to the ship.
If you pin this on Soul,
Prepare these bodies for burial.
I will be fuming. And I'm sure that's quite the threat to you. It's interesting as well because when she woke up, well, when she woke up, when she first got on this ship, she wanted to just straight kill Soul, but she was also interested in what he had to say, and was also interested in learning more about her sister by spending time with her master. We are seeing such the role reversal with both of them. They're both in the kind of opposite situations, and one is being taught and one is being corrupted.
16 years to think about what I would say to you if I ever got the opportunity.
Now I've tied you down and I have the
You're going to
opportunity.
listen.
I want to hear. What happened? I want to know what happened. I have no idea how long is left in the episode. Lost complete track, and I was about to be so mad if that was where it ended. Though I have a feeling we're not going to get any more answers today. She's intrigued. And of course she is. The Jedi were useless at raising her, didn't know how to deal with her in the slightest, or how to help her with any of the things she was going through, because they like to pretend the things she's going through are things you can just squash down and say don't matter. And she is someone that has been through an immense amount of pain, and even the trauma of the battle last night, even though he caused it, that is someone that is more vulnerable to whispers from certain people. I just need her to remember who she is. She's curious. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The weirdest choice they made with this show is its short episode times. I mean, that one ran at like, what, 30 odd minutes? But isn't the shortest. Like, the shortest Mandalorian episodes would be 30 minutes. I thought there was music coming through my headphones. There's an ice cream van in the street outside. Like, the shortest episode being 30 minutes. Of The Mandalorian is kind of like on the shorter side, and then when they have the big action-filled episodes, they can go on over an hour at times. And that makes sense to me. You know, the part of me that needs to sit down and edit this tonight is glad this is only 30 minutes, but the part of me that enjoys watching television, which is the more important part, is like, oh. It's an interesting choice because, especially thinking that this coming out week by week, and I'm even watching it week by week, so I'm also having to wait that week. It's like, I feel like every time I'm being sucked all the way in, it just leaves me wanting more. Now, that's what they want. But I think for the people who maybe aren't enjoying the show as much as I am, whether that's because they came to it with the decision they weren't going to like it because the lead was a black woman and, you know, it wasn't about their white men with lightsabers running around. I don't know. I do think a lot of criticism of a lot of the new Star Wars are people who liked it when it was about their white boys with lightsabers, and it's a very complicated issue. Then obviously there are going to be the people who had pre-existing ideas of the canon or liked pre-existing versions of the canon, and so you can kind of understand why they might dislike things that change away from it. But I feel like for a show that has so much rich potential, such rich characters and rich story potential, we're really being sold short. Like, I don't even think necessarily I want them to have combined the episodes to make like episode like 1 and 2 could be episode 1, 2 and 3 could, or 3 and 4 could be 2. I want this episode to have more time. I want to see May exploring the ship, May maybe thinking Osha slept there, Osha would have been here. I want to see how these characters are feeling through things. I want more conversations between these people. I want Sol talking to May while he still thinks she's Osha a little bit more. Just let us feel these moments at times, because we would only benefit from it. Now, these are criticisms I am making from the point of view of someone who loves the show, is fully on board and fully invested, and I want more from it. And I think it's letting itself down by having these shorter episode times. And also I feel like a lot of the time not much happens in the episode, and I don't mind that so much. I am quite happy to delve into characters and to just have episodes like this where we're really seeing the characters. But I feel like even for me, we set the scene for when we're going to delve into the characters in the next episode, and I want more. Now, again, this isn't me criticizing it, because I'm really enjoying it. I care about these characters and I'm invested. And, you know, I hate when shows kill off characters, like absolutely hate it. And I still don't feel like in this show they gave me enough time with Jackie or Yord to mourn them in the way they deserve me to mourn them. But yes, seeing their bodies again was awful, but then knowing they're going to get a respectful burial is something. This show is really highlighting something that I have long said about the Jedi, which is that their rule on attachments is nonsense, and their decision that they are the only right way to use the Force is like, that is also a load of crap and wrong. Now, I obviously, as with every single story, whether it's the Avengers with the Sokovia Accords or this, there is sort of an argument to be had of when you have a group of people with powers beyond everybody else, or the ability to tap into the Force in this case, there is obviously a danger that people will use that to their own good, to gain power and to hurt other people, to gain power at the expense of other people. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having an organization like the Jedi existing and trying to do the right thing and having their traditions and all of, and that side of that is fine. I love the Jedi. I don't think that's a bad thing. But maybe it should be more of a, we've heard of somebody using the Force for evil in this place, we'll go and stop them. It should be an offer to families with Force-sensitive children, not a... I mean, I know that they don't technically kidnap them, but it's also like, well, if we don't have your kid, your child may never use the Force, even though they can feel it. And I think if you come across a coven of witches who are doing harm with the Force, stop them, of course. But if you just find people who interact with the Force in a different way to you, there is no harm in that. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. And there should be other options for children than just this one path into the Jedi, because it's like saying every single person who happens to be Force sensitive will fit into this one mold and they will be happy with it and they will succeed. And that just isn't the way that it's going to work. But the biggest issue the Jedi have is their attachments, because they all have attachments. They have souls. Any of them who don't have attachments are sociopaths. Whether that's an attachment with their master, with someone they trained with a Jedi they go on missions a lot with, a Jedi they see at the canteen once a week for their weekly sandwiches. I don't know, but it's human, and I'm saying human, and by that I'm being speciesist, but I mean, like, you know, a living sentient being in the way we experience the world, human, that you will form attachments. And yes, by removing kids from their families and cutting them off and by stopping them from having children, you're kind of trying to ensure that, and marriages and whatnot, you're trying to ensure that their priority remains on the mission and on the work and they're not distracted, and I do understand that. But Soul is a brilliant example of someone who, by all accounts, is a brilliant Jedi and very dedicated to it. We don't know what exactly happened that night, and I still don't know whether they did anything wrong or not. But in this case, the correct Jedi course of action was to wait for the rescue team to come, alert them that he has caught May, plead for mercy on her part by all means, like say that we need to talk to her, we need to get information from her, we have to go after Osha. But the correct Jedi thing to do was to wait. The thing that you do when you care about somebody is turn off your transponder and go on a little rescue mission. Everybody has attachments and you can't exist without them. And also, life is made better by having those attachments. I wouldn't wish a life with no attachments on anybody. Whereas if the Jedi were to treat Jedi almost like a boarding school where you get like, of course like it's hard to transport people all over the galaxy, but you know, like every now and then you get 6 months at home. You know, you get some time at home, you get to sort of have those experiences. That would have its own difficulties. Kids would feel detached from their families. They wouldn't feel quite as at home in their families. I'm not saying it would be straightforward and easy, and there definitely would be cases where a particular home world was threatened, and then they'd be like, but my family are there, I have to go, or whatever. But you're going to have the exact same thing when someone is like, well, that's a, I mean, I don't know, if there was one planet that people with brown hair came from, and then I heard that planet was attacked, I would be thinking, I probably have family there. I want to help them. Like it's natural. I do think there is another way the Jedi could have operated. And then even if you put away the no attachments to families and cutting off that side of things, they needed to accept that people form attachments, it's going to happen, and help people deal with them so that you know what to do when you suffer a huge loss. The Jedi got this 8-year-old girl who had just watched her sister just tried to kill her. Again, we haven't heard May's side yet, but from Osha's point of view, her sister just tried to kill her entire family, her entire people were dead, killed by her twin sister as far as she's aware, and you know, then feeling guilty, no doubt, on top of that because she'd wanted to leave and she'd been resentful of them for a long time because she wanted to leave. All of those guilt and feelings guilt and pain that she is feeling, and they were like, oh, we normally take babies, we don't know how to deal with a traumatized 8-year-old, and then did absolutely nothing. You could even see it with Anakin in the fact that they were like, his mum's still a slave, but he'll forget about her, right? You know, like there were so many times where the Jedi could be more understanding of these kids who were going through these difficult situations, and they just aren't. Now we don't know what her master dudes. Please tell me his name. If we know his name. If I'm gonna find out his name, I will find out his name. But if I've missed it, please tell me. Because calling him master dude gives him far too much respect for how I feel about him. I could just call him Jason, but that feels wrong to Jason. We don't know exactly what happened with him, whether he was wronged by the Jedi or whether they noticed that he was going to the dark side. And I still think stabbing him in the back, if it really was the Jedi that did it, probably isn't a very Jedi way of doing things. But yeah, we don't know the full story there. And he definitely was like, hey Osha, look at my scar. Hey Osha, I want to see my scar. Hey Osha, ask me about my scar. Osha, why don't you ask me about my scar? Because that'll really help me start to sell my message of like, he's very, very good at what he does. I feel like I've been slightly off track there, but basically they need to do better with how they deal with attachments because people are completely unequipped. And obviously there's no amount of training that will make you not care about someone or make you not rush off to their aid while being reckless. But if you have a bit more of an understanding of it, you'll be able to deal with everything far, far more. I think another thing, there's a very good chance that maybe there was some darkness brewing in him as a kid and his Jedi Master thought, that's dangerous, I'm going to kill him. Maybe he even saw his Jedi Master doing something bad, because as much as, you know, the Jedi is a good and noble order, there will be bad apples in the bunch, because there always are. You cannot make sure that there is no way of noticing every single one. Some will slip by the radar, and that is only if you're actually looking out for them, police forces. So if somebody were to do something wrong, whether it's a Jedi who genuinely, I don't know, a Jedi did something and they were like, aha, I have stopped the evil assailant that was haunting this village, and oh my god, when I stopped them I started a fire and the whole village is dead. Dear notes, today the evil villain killed the whole village in fire and then I killed him. sad day. You know, like even if it's falsifying a report to cover up a mistake for their pride or whatever, which, you know, isn't a good thing, but isn't them intentional. Basically, by that, not metaphor, that theoretical incident, I'm saying the Jedi didn't intentionally do harm, but they did do harm and they wanted to cover it up for the good of the Order or for the good of themselves. I could see something like that happening, and then the Master being like, gotta kill my Padawan. In the same way that I'm worried that the Green Lady, again, I have brain fog, names are hard, the Green Jedi is going to blame this on Sol, because if she can just cover it up and say, we had a rogue Jedi, we dealt with him, that'll look better to the Senate and the pressure she's getting from the Senate, rather than if she has to say, well, yes, there is a rogue Force user out there, and we don't know where he is, and another one of my Jedi has also gone on the run. Don't know where he, like, it's a lot messier. When she's dealing with the political pressure. And it's yet another instance of why orders like the Jedi don't thrive when they are so closely interwoven with political structures. It's ultimately another part of what leads to their doom. I do think having an external overview, having somebody that monitors the Jedi to make sure that they themselves aren't slowly becoming an evil order, you know, it would take a long time, but people could slowly but surely rise up the ranks with bad intentions, and before you know it, the whole order's been warped. I don't think it's the worst thing for them to have external oversight, but if it's political external oversight, they are not an organisation that should be bothered by politics. I feel like I've gone on 50 different tangents here, I'm so sorry. I am wondering if Green Jedi is going to have been his master. Again, like, she looks young, but her species could just age slowly. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, and by young, I mean she doesn't look, like, way older than him like you'd expect a master to. But either of them could be a different aging species. And what worries me most is that when, was he a Padawan or was he just a young dude? When the young dude was like, Master Sol did this, do you think he did this? She was just like, so you have looked at the evidence and think it's Sol. That's interesting. I'm not going to confirm or deny that, and I'm going to keep it in my back pocket and see if I need it later, which worries me. I feel like she is a very politically minded Jedi, which is something that I've been trying to talk about, because my rambling's going to be longer than the episode at this point. I do think people like Evil Master will have valid points about the Jedi. There will be bad people within the Jedi. There will be people who believe they're doing the right thing, believe that what they're doing is for the right reasons, but are still doing bad things to get there, and therefore are still going against the so-called Jedi way. There will be hypocritical Jedis. And I think even the best, most well-intentioned, good person can get pushed to the breaking point and snap, a bit like Sol did in the battle when he watched everyone he loved died and then he wanted to just attack the Master. Like, everyone can be pushed to those points. But what I think defines you as a person is how you feel after the fact. And if after the fact you're filled with remorse for having gone to that level, or if you're kind of like, I can give myself the grace of understanding why I did that, but I'm not happy that I did it and I'm going to work to not do it again. Or if you're like, I was justified, don't want anyone else to know, cover that up. It depends what you do with it. And if that snapping was because someone you loved was in danger, or because you thought you were going to lose some power. He has a lot of valid points about the Jedi as an order and about specific Jedi, but his desire to be a Sith, I mean, I'm not an expert in the Sith religion. I have not read the texts. I don't know, but like, isn't the whole thing of the Sith to do dark evil things? So your dream is to be a Sith, you probably shouldn't be using the Force. Whereas if you just wanted to go and live on a planet somewhere and use the Force from time to time, or even all the time, but you weren't hurting anybody, I would be like, let him do it. He should be allowed. This man, he's evil. Now, my worry is that Osha didn't leave. Now, admittedly, maybe she just didn't fancy a swim. Maybe she was waiting for the tide to go out. But he gave her, she had a weapon, she could have killed him. Which, again, it goes against the Jedi way. And even though she isn't a Jedi, I think she still holds herself to a lot of those same standards. And also that they're an order she has looked up to. And there's a kind of, not killing an unarmed person isn't exactly a bad moral to stick with. But what worries me is the episode being called Teach/Corrupt. And obviously May was not being corrupted. She was, if anything, I mean, maybe you could argue that her fervent hatred of the Jedi could be being corrupted, but it worries me that she didn't leave and that she didn't kill him. Again, do I like killing unarmed people? No, but I also think somebody like this Master is never actually unarmed because he's a Force user and a very, very good one at that. He was very confident that May was that Osha was not going to kill him. And also very desperate for her. Like his line when he said, "It's funny how many people seem to want you." He is one of those people. He sees the potential in her that if she were to become his acolyte, she would be brilliant at it. Now my fear for Osha is that she is going to somehow fall to the dark side. Now the girl we met believed so strongly in the Jedi, but if she is exposed to the corruption of the Jedi, if she lets her anger at the Jedi for not being able to help her, for not doing more for her, for not fighting to keep her or whatever fester, I could see her swaying. But what I don't see right now in my understanding of her as a character is her joining him. I could see her choosing to walk her own path, to even use the Force, to even be like, I'm going to be a Sith Lord. I hope not, but you know, I could see her choosing a darker path for herself in the Jedi, choosing to walk away from the Jedi and what they're doing. Makes total sense within her character. I can see her getting there. But I don't see her signing up with the man who killed people that were her friends when he could very easily have disarmed or knocked them out. Like, it wasn't a kill. He was more than strong enough to incapacitate those people without murdering them. And even twisting May into being his assassin and all of these things. She might emotionally be a bit vulnerable right now, but I have to think Osha is strong enough. I mean, May ultimately chose to believe in her sister and to hope of a future where they could be together over working for this man. So it's going to be very interesting. Now, you've got to think back to when they were girls. Both of them were interested in that butterfly creature and like holding it with the Force. Both of them grew up with that coven of witches. And it might all come down to whatever actually happened that night, the true story that might sway things. But I'm just worried they're going to be like, oh, Osha's the Acolyte. And if it feels like she descended that way too easily, I won't like it. Because the girl we met might turn against the Jedi, but I don't think she would turn to the dark side. But maybe I don't know her as well as I thought. It feels like that's where we're going, but in a way, the happiest ending for me would be May and Osha just heading off into the sunset together with Pip. You know, maybe May serves a little prison sentence and then they can head. I don't know. Although Pip is dead. Pip has been factory reset. I don't know. That's just what's worrying me. And maybe they could do it in a way where I feel like it's earned for her character, but the person we met was just good. You know, she just kind of she was choosing to do good at every turn instead of choosing to do evil. And I think something quite extreme would have to happen to push her there. And I don't, even what happened to her family all those years ago, I don't know that that would be the thing because it happened so long ago. And she also woke up and was like, I'm with the evil guy. He's going to try and manipulate me. She's too smart. So we will see. Maybe I'm worrying over nothing. Just the juxtaposition of the two like plot lines and everything had me worried. I'm really enjoying this show. A reminder that you can find an edited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.